Loving you is like a piece of milk candy, sweet from the eyebrows to the toes. Ethan and I grew up together since childhood, or rather, he watched me grow from babbling to adolescence. Ethan is 4 years older than me. According to his mom, when I was born, Ethan and she were the first people to see me. At that time, my mother had a severe hemorrhage after giving birth to me. My father was busy signing a critical illness notice, and he didn't even have time to glance at me. He might even have been a bit annoyed with me. It's not that he favored boys over girls, but he felt that I bullied his wife, causing her to be bedridden all day during her 10-month pregnancy, and even made her go through the gates of hell after I was born. I was utterly innocent. When I was older and looking back, I couldn't help but complain about my father. After all, who got your dearly beloved wife pregnant? My relationship with my dad has always been casual. He wasn't at a loss with me, but rather, his wife had a late-aged daughter and doted on me a lot. Not only does my mom spoil me, Ethan's mom spoils me even more. Ethan's mom and my mom are ironclad best friends. They are true confidantes who grew up together. They were born on the same year, month, and day. It's just that my mom got married late, so I'm 4 years younger than Ethan, and therefore I have to call him brother. My name is Daisy. My mom said my dad had my name all planned out when he first saw me in my mom's stomach. He named me Daisy. Maybe this name gives me a kind of sassy vibe. Two strong-willed mothers backed me up, and I was not only making waves at my house and Ethan's house, but also in the whole neighborhood. However, it seems that all the parents in the neighborhood like to link my name with Ethan's. One is a negative example, and the other is a positive one. For example, when educating their children, they would say, if you don't study hard, you'll end up like Daisy, coming last in class. Look at Ethan, always top of the class. Even his walk is different from others. Oh great, we are both someone else's children, and yet, I'm someone else's naughty child. My dad was very disappointed about this, saying that I should be called a little devil instead. But Ethan sees me as lusciously juicy as a ripe peach. Ethan often patted my head, saying, our Daisy is just playful. She'll get over it when she grows up. At those times, I would look up to Ethan with admiration. It feels so good to have a brother who protects you. Ethan does have all the good qualities of a brother. Except for being a little harsh on me from time to time, everything else is perfect. For example, when both our parents are busy with work, he would cook for me, tell me stories, and coax me to sleep, even though he was just a young teenager in junior high. In his eyes, I was always his little sister. He was 4 years older than me, so he felt that he should take care of me. As he said, besides taking a bath, he could do anything for me. Good. Then Ethan, you should help me with my homework. I squinted my eyes, smiling merrily. Ethan was obviously not anticipating my quick response, but the mind of a top student always works differently from regular people. So he quickly offered a counter-proposal, Daisy. Do you want candy? Milky flavor. In the end, I was still a greedy little kid, and I was easily conquered by a piece of milk candy. Only because Ethan said that if I finished my homework, he would give me a piece of milk candy, and if I got everything correct, he would give me 2 pieces. I loved candy since I was little, which caused my teeth to be repaired annually, so my mom strictly ordered me not to eat candies. As a result, my allowance was gone and my mother said she would buy me whatever I needed. What do I need? I want to eat candy. Milky, sweet, and smooth candies. Ethan figured out my Achilles, heel, and started to control me with milk candy, which was successful almost every time. As a result, my mom never knew that Ethan secretly gave me candies, because every time after I had a candy, he would force me to brush my teeth. If I didn't obey, he would even pry open my mouth and brush my teeth for me. It's quite funny when I think about it. Even though I managed to get a few pieces of milk candy from Ethan every week, my teeth have never been rotten again. Maybe it's really the merit of brushing diligently. I would never admit that Ethan had any tricks. Ethan and I have been growing up together, secretly sharing his milk candies. During this time, I've lived somewhat under his shining halo and suffered a few injustices. For instance, when both of us skipped school to play video games. The good student was relaxing, whereas the bad student was escaping from studies. Likewise, when we both had dispute, the good student was arguing on principles and the bad student was creating trouble. Being smart really is impressive. I rolled my eyes and began to hate this overly dazzling brother. My home is next door to Ethan, so we are quite at ease while going to each other's house to eat and sleep with no sense of boundaries. Parents are the same everywhere. Those without a son are sons, and those without a daughter and 8 were daughters. So, I came up with an idea to swap houses with Ethan for a month, so my parents would stop nagging me to learn from Ethan. While it's just the neighboring unit, not seeing each other every day can make my parents reconsider he is the lively daughter they should love after all. Ethan, being the introverted one, would probably converse with them less than 10 sentences a day, if at all. But it seems like I miscalculated. When I lived at Ethan's house for a month, my parents did not seem to miss me at all. Instead, Ethan's parents kept complaining about Ethan always causing trouble for my parents, urging him to go home. This is so frustrating. It seems like my parents didn't miss me, probably because apart from getting into troubles frequently, I did not have any other merits. Unlike Ethan, although he is cold and silent, he excels academically. Therefore, his introverted personality is not considered a flaw, but uniqueness. In contrast, I am outgoing, rank low academically, always scheming, fighting, always not behaving properly. It's a headache to parents and teachers. Every time there is a parent-teacher meeting starting from middle school, my parents try to push it to one another. As a result, it always ends up with Ethan attending the meeting for me. Introducing himself as my brother, Ethan is too excellent to the point it might blind me with his brilliance. Consequently, during my rebellious phase, I played a prank. I secretly stuffed a love letter into Ethan's bag, then went through his bag in front of all our parents, claiming to see what the books of third year high school are like and whether or not I could understand it. Ethan sneered, "Daisy, you even haven't mastered the books of the second year, yet you want to delve into those of the third year. Dreaming during broad daylight, are we?" I blinked innocently and replied, "I just want to read the books." "Why are you attacking me unless—" I intentionally lengthened my voice, drawing the attention of Ethan's parents and mine. Seeing the parents put down their chopsticks, I completed my sentence. "Unless you have some unspeakable secret hidden in your bag." Ethan continued eating, glancing at me and said casually, "You can check if you want. Just make sure you don't feel ashamed about the scores on my papers." My father teased that no matter how good Ethan's scores are, all it could do was making me want to hit something lightly, and that would be it. The next day, I'd still be the same Daisy who is unprogressive. This joke made the parents all laugh. In my heart, I thought, all I ever do is bring humor to this family. I pretended to check Ethan's bag, then took a piece of colorful paper out of a book. I sincerely asked, "Ethan, what's this? You're really meticulous. Are you using such pretty paper for solving problems?" Ethan glanced at the paper in my hand, then stared at me calmly. "It's not mine." I held a folded piece of paper in my hand as I pretended to be curious. "If it's not yours, then whose is it? What's written inside?" Ethan kept his chopsticks in his hand but smiled at me as if playing along, raised an eyebrow and said, "How would I know? Just take a look yourself." I pretended to be eager and unfolded the paper, expressing surprise. Wow, whose love letter could this be? Addressed to Ethan? At these words, Ethan's parents rushed over and took the paper from my hands. After reading it, they began to scold Ethan for worrying about romance when he should be focusing on his college entrance exams. Ethan remained silent, continuing to eat his meal. Ethan's mother became flustered and yelled, "I'm talking to you. Which girl is so disrespectful? She dares to write such explicit words while still underage." Ethan finally put down his chopsticks, but he wasn't looking at his parents. He sighed and said, "Who knows?" Ethan's mother was infuriated by his casual attitude. She slapped the love letter on the table. "Ethan, don't think your good grades give you a free pass. You're not allowed to date before college. You cannot be complacent until after the college entrance exams. Ethan's dad wholeheartedly agreed and advised Ethan, "You should cut ties with the person in the letter so as not to ruin each other's futures." Although my parents did not presume to read the content of the letter, they stood with Ethan's parents, always praising Ethan in front of me. Now that Ethan was embroiled in controversy due to a premature romance before his college entrance exams, they echoed, "You need to prioritize your studies." I secretly laughed in my heart. Ethan, the golden child everyone praises, finally has a stain. While I was secretly cherishing my triumph, I didn't pay attention to the teasing look Ethan kept throwing my way. Parents have 3 fears for their children: premature dating, truancy, and poor grades. Although I was guilty of skipping class and poor performance, I absolutely steered clear of the most worrying issue of premature dating. Ethan, such a highly praised student, was finally donned the premature dater hat. Facing the criticism from his parents, Ethan never revealed the girl's name but insisted he wasn't dating anyone. It was just a letter. His mother didn't believe it, as the content of the letter clearly showed that Ethan had been interacting with that girl for a while. Ethan, lost for arguments, never really defended himself. He only semi-acknowledged it and promised his parents that he would get a high score in the final exam, no matter what. After budging back the letter from his mother, he rushed to glance at it and then perked an eyebrow at me, promising to return the love letter to the girl. I watched as Ethan folded the paper into a square and tucked it in his pocket for safekeeping. When I looked up again, I caught Ethan saying to me, "I heard that Daisy has made great improvements in her calligraphy recently. You've been able to mimic other style?" About this, it might be the only thing my parents would be pleased about, as my calligraphy was indeed good. My stout little heart beats faster than ever at the swing of words from someone else. I shook my head. It's impossible, my handwriting is varied, and no one could easily recognize it. Seeing I didn't brag about my calligraphy, my parents answered for me, thank heavens. We finally found something praiseworthy about her. Annoyed, I retorted, "Why do I need others to approve? I just need to approve of myself. What does it have to do with anyone else? Seems like rebellious kids are easily provoked. Anyway, I can be easily triggered. I hate when people compare me with the so-called good kids. Comparing what? Only those who laugh last are the winners. Does the one who starts running first always reach the finish line?" Ethan always seemed to know me well and would say soothing words like, yeah, Daisy is the best. People who write so well will never be inferior in anything. Maybe out of guilty conscience, I didn't appreciate his compliment and retorted, "How would you know? Can all well-educated people be fortune-tellers?" Ethan and I always quarreled. Our parents had long been used to this, because only when Ethan is with me, he seemed to be more talkative. After dinner, they simply ignored us and took care of their own business. Ethan just laughed, saying that he's going to revise, picking up his bag, stepping deliberately close to me, whispering, "I didn't foresee that a love letter would be tucked into my book, but the words in the letter will certainly come true. Daisy, let's wait and see." Ethan's words stirred up my inner world. When my hesitant eyes met Ethan's bright star-like pupils, I feigned toughness and said good luck. Because Ethan was about to take the college entrance examination in a month, my parents strictly forbade me to go to his house. Imitating my guilty conscience, I genuinely obeyed. Time slipped away. The next time I saw Ethan, he was outside the examination hall. I was dumbfounded. My heartbeat sped up for a moment. I felt inexplicably hot on my ears. After he put me down, I pushed him and pretended to be reluctant. "You're crazy. I was forced to come." Oh, then who secretly wrote "come on" every first page of my books? Seeing Ethan's teasing smile, I was embarrassed and angry. I was just practicing writing. The parents lovingly witnessed our argument. "The next time we'll gather outside like this, it should be during Daisy's examination," I retorted. "I don't need that. You can just wait at home. Who knows where Ethan will be by then?" It was just a casual comment, but Ethan assured me, no matter where I am, I will come back to cheer for Daisy. Sounds like he can't do without the phrase "come on." As he wished, Ethan scored enough to go to the most prestigious college. After he started college, we drift apart. He seemed to continue being a school topper. Even in an institute filled with geniuses, he was still the most dazzling star. As for me, I remained an insignificant speck of dust with unstable grades. Even getting into a second-tier college seemed difficult. Every night Ethan called to urge me to study. Every week he called to clear my doubts. He used all his spare time to help me prepare for the entrance exam. Unfortunately, I disappointed him in my prelims and vented my anger on him, asking him to mind his own business. Time flies. Ethan was in his 4th year of college when I appeared for my entrance exam, but contrary to his promise, he didn't come back to wait outside the exam center for me. He broke his promise. I didn't say anything about it, but noted it in my heart, no longer looking forward to receiving his calls, often pretending to be busy hanging out with friends. Even though he later explaining that he was assigned some work by his tutor and told him get out of it, he was still cheering for me from afar. But I was still angry. I had no idea that my temper could be this bad. The anger lasted several years. In recent years, Ethan has been particularly busy and didn't have time to check in on me from time to time. We have finally both grown up, but in the adult world, there are too many factors beyond our control that have gradually made our relationship more distant. In my heart, there is a subtle hope and deep loss, but the stubbornness in my personality doesn't allow me to call him Brother Ethan in a spoiled manner like I did. I can no longer carelessly make fun of him or laugh without a care in the world. What makes me feel most emotional is that I don't know when it started, and I can only get news about him from others. I sigh to myself, while distance makes the heart grow fonder. It also wears down our passion. He is no longer the thoughtful brother who stayed by my side and nurtured me as I grew up. I heard from my mom that Ethan is going for his master's degree right after his bachelor's. Ethan's mom mentioned that he started a business with his friends in the first year of his master's program. Ethan's dad proudly shared that Ethan is balancing both his academics and his business well, but he's not proactive in his personal life. After hearing so much, what made me secretly delighted was, but then I thought that such an excellent person would surely be adored by many girls, perhaps. Perhaps he's spoiled for choice. I understand that in the end, the children of others will always belong to others, will always belong to others. His brilliant glory doesn't pierce my eyes anymore, because we have been in touch less and less over the years. He's busy and so am I. People who want us or cannot be held back by anyone, unless you're equally excellent and likewise long for the blue sky. I gradually understood that the gap between people comes out in contrast. When people's mindset and boundaries are different, they can't communicate smoothly. What I couldn't understand is that Ethan is so busy that he doesn't have time to go home. Other than staying home for a few days during Chinese New Year, he devotes all of his time to his beloved studies and business. With such dedication, it would be difficult not to have a promising future. Okay, the sentiments of a young girl will eventually fade away. The hidden feelings in my heart will sink like a stone in the sea, and I should live an exciting life in my own world. Although I only got into a second-rate college, I was also very busy during college, not because of academics, but because I was keen on organizing club activities, which suits my active personality. There were quite a few people pursuing me in college, but none of them persistent. They could be sent away with a few words. This kind of casual confession is really funny. I thought of Ethan again. That dazzling big boy, the liar who said he would grow old with me. So, in the midst of my fear of losing and fear of obtaining, I turned out to be a 4th-year student in a blink of an eye. After the new year, I will have to think about the problem of finding a job, and I cherish this last winter holiday very much. But I never thought that Ethan, this successful person, would actually take a winter holiday for himself. The debut of my winter holiday was awkward because of him. One day in the first week of the winter vacation, I played games with my friends all night, which caused me to sleep until noon the next day. When I was bathing, I took a bath directly. After washing, I remembered that I forgot to bring my change of clothes, so I shouted, I forgot my underwear. Can you bring it for me? I called for a long time without hearing my mom's answer. As I was thinking about whether or not to wrap a towel around me since my dad wasn't home, there came a knock at the door. I turned off the faucet, and when I opened the door to take my underwear, I saw a male figure retreating, which scared me to shout, "Ugh." Seeing that tall figure sauntering back into the living room, he casually fluttered his hand without turning around. The muffled voice came, "You're welcome, hurry up. Don't catch a cold." Ethan, I angrily yelled out his name, quickly grabbed my underwear from the chair outside the bathroom, and cursed Ethan for meddling in business he should not have involved himself with. When I came out from my bath, my mom was carrying some hot dishes out of the kitchen. Ethan went ahead to lend a hand, and my mom told him not to worry about it, not to get his white shirt dirty. The smoke hood was still buzzing incessantly. No need to ask. It was certain that my mom didn't hear me when I was yelling for help just now. As I wiped my wet long hair, I glared at Ethan. My mom patted my back and asked, "What's wrong? Don't you recognize Ethan anymore?" "I do. I would recognize him even in ashes." I clipped through gritted teeth. "You're still just like before, always looking for trouble," my mom said. I opened my mouth to say something, but Ethan actually spoke first apparently. He liked straightforward girls like me. What did he mean by that? My heart pounded in my chest as I gazed at Ethan in astonishment. He had indeed grown up and learned how to flirt. My mom was beaming. She shared that Ethan was still as protective of me as he had been before. Mom announced that there were 2 dishes yet to come for the meal. She scolded Ethan for not telling us he was returning early. Both Ethans and my dad were out of town and expected to be back tomorrow. I saw for dishes already on the table and asked my mom, "2 more dishes?" "There are only 3 of us. Can we finish it all?" She glared at me and said, "Stop talking too much and go back to your room to change into proper clothes." I looked down at my new pajamas. What did she mean by proper? Did I have to wear a princess dress because Ethan was here? I sauntered into my room, and before I could close the door, a foot blocked it. "May I come in and sit?" Ethan asked softly, still grinning. I retorted, "Can't you sit in the living room? If the temple's too small, go to the great hall of the people." Ethan looked at me and raised an eyebrow. Then he said something that deserved a punch. He flirtatiously asked, "Were the clothes I just took for you the ones you like?" "Can you?" I tried to push him out of my room, but he grabbed my hand, opened the door a little more, and slipped in. Mom was in the kitchen. She couldn't hear what we were saying. Even if she did, she probably wouldn't care. She would be more than happy to see Ethan and me together. It's been an unspoken consensus since we were kids. It's up to us how we take it forward. "Get out, who asked you to meddle?" Ethan closed the door and slowly advanced towards me, cornering me. He explained, "I was watching TV in the living room. Your mom was in the kitchen. Even if you screamed in the bathroom, she wouldn't be able to hear you. I took the liberty of getting your underwear, and you treat me like a good deed was not done well. So can you just come in and out of my room?" Rummaged through my things. Ethan shamelessly said, "When you were a kid, I used to soothe you to sleep in your room. I even washed your clothes for you, don't you remember?" I was angry. I hit his chest. "Shut up. You know that was when we were kids, right? We have to respect each other's privacy now. Understand?" "I understand." "Didn't I just not directly hand you your clothes just now? I kindly brought a dining chair and placed it at the entrance of your bathroom. Then I put your inner beauty on the chair and knocked on the door. Isn't it gentlemanly to retreat to the living room to give you some space?" Look at him. Reading does indeed pay off. I rolled my eyes. "Well, thank you then. No need to thank me." Ethan looked down at my hand resting on his chest. He couldn't make me retreat anymore, but instead, he leaned down to whisper in my ear, "I've seen you without your clothes on when we were 4 years old, so you don't need to be embarrassed." Boom! My head exploded and my chest heaved with anger as I pushed him away as hard as I could. I came to suspect the Ethan before my eyes was a different person. The formerly gentlemanly, gentle and jade like Ethan had transformed into a wild, overbearing monster. This must be the consequence of society's ruthless trials. This change, however, did not make me feel alienated. I have always been skilled in adapting. I was just trying to figure out how to deal with the pressing pursuit of the man in front of me. "Get out? How are you going to thank me? I won't accuse you of invasion of privacy." "Oh?" Ethan's mouth curved upward. His eyes sparked with a mischievous glint. "Are you going to accuse me?" Do you have any evidence? I have a record here with someone's notes from that year. As I saw Ethan drawing a small square from his pocket, it looked familiar. As he unfolded it, I hastily chased him out. What it said on it, I remembered all too well. Ethan wouldn't let it go. He read it aloud with great emotion. I lunged to snatch that piece of paper, but Ethan held it high. I jumped to catch it, but Ethan grabbed my wrist and pulled me back, holding me against him. I struggled, but he spoke soothingly into my ear. "I should be done cooking now, if she comes overhearing the noise." Ethan didn't have to finish the sentence for me to understand. If my mom saw us entangled like that with the added fuel of the paper in Ethan's hand, I had no defense left. Being acutely aware of the situation, I kept quiet, watching Beachred as Ethan gently read out in his magnetic voice, licking yours like a piece of milk candy, sweet from head to toe. "Every interaction with you is filled with waves of love. Love is the gentle touch when I see you, the thousands of words when I can't see you. I whisper your name in my heart millions of times, wondering if you do the same. Cheer up, Ethan. We have a long way to go." I closed my eyes and buried my head like an ostrich, cursing myself for the letter that now seemed full of flaws. No wonder Ethan always teased me with the phrase "cheer up" after the letter incident. No wonder he started giving me an extra piece of milk candy every week, scoffing that I earned it myself. After finishing, Ethan breathed a soft breath into my ear, asking my feelings. Feelings. My foot, I grumbled. I had thought those words beautiful and in tune with Ethan's excellence then, hence the bit of sincerity in the prank. "Daisy, playing an ostrich isn't your style. And we have a long way to go. Should be relevant now." "What?" I genuinely didn't understand. I turned to look at him. Ethan loosened his grip on my wrist, and despite not escaping immediately, he seemed content with my reaction. He let me off with the words, "Let's have dinner first, or Aunt may get worried." At the dinner table for the first time, I dared not meet Ethan's gaze and kept my head down, eating. My mother teased that I had somehow become a lady. I remained silent, but Ethan defended me. Perhaps she's growing up and has some concerns. I choked on my spicy fish head. Ethan gave me water and Mom rushed to comfort me. Under the table, I gave a hard kick to Ethan's leg. This big bad wolf decided to bury me in the hole I dug ages ago. It took some time, but we were back to the good old days. After I recovered, my mother turned to Ethan. Ethan, does your company have a suitable position? Daisy is about to graduate, and I would be relieved if she joined your company. Otherwise, the outside world is dangerous, and I'm afraid our Daisy might suffer." I choked once more. Is my mother trying to push me further into the abyss Ethan set for me? Aunt, my company desperately needs a campaign planner, which matches Daisy's major. In fact, I came back this time to discuss whether Daisy could join my company so that I could continue to look after her. That won't be necessary. I struggled to say thanks for Ethan's offer, then lied to my mom. Mom? Don't worry, I've already found a job. My breath hitched, wishing to tell my mom that Ethan was the real con artist in a suit. However, the following days turned into a full-scale campaign by both our parents and Ethan himself trying to convince me to join his company. On the eve of Chinese New Year, while both families were playing Mahjong, I took Ethan aside for a private chat. I got straight to the point and asked, "What exactly are you trying to do?" Seeing me pout, Ethan reached out gently to pinch my cheeks, speaking softly, "Silly Daisy, can't you see my intentions yet?" Squirming away from Ethan's advances, I retorted, slightly embarrassed, "I can't see it. The prank of letters from the past are over and done with. You didn't lose anything and we can just turn the page." Ethan shook his head. "What if I said I can't move on?" "Well, what do you want then? You're a grown man. How can you be so petty? I didn't even blame you for not coming back during my college entrance exams, going back on your word." Ethan sighed. "Daisy, if I were to have come back during your exams, you probably wouldn't have passed the second tier line." I snapped back at his sly words and tried to hint. Was he taking my kindness for weakness? He didn't come back, that's it. But Ethan seized the opportunity, grabbing my hand. looking deep into my eyes and confessed sincerely, "You're right. I did lie back then. I wasn't busy with work arranged by the instructor. I got a severe cold, and I had a high fever that wouldn't go away. I was afraid that coming back would infect you and affect your exam. I didn't dare to call you, afraid that you'd be too smart to notice anything off, so I could only send a message wishing you good luck on your exams." "Really?" Ethan seemed sincere, but I remained uncertain. Ethan's eyes sparkled. "Absolutely true. Have I ever lied to you before?" Unlikely. As I stared into Ethan's luminous eyes, my heart was beating out of rhythm, wanting to break free from the firm grip Ethan had on my hand, to flee from the ambiguity. But Ethan didn't let go. He even advanced further, putting his forehead against mine. His warm breath fluttered across my face, murmuring Daisy. "You've staged the prank love letter scenario, and I went along with you, playing my role. It's been so many years. Isn't it time to pay your part with interest?" Flushed and at a loss of words, I asked, "Did you know all along? Did you think that when I picked you up from school, and you kindly helped me carry my school bag, then coyly asked me to line up for your bubble tea, I would be so dumb not to pick up on something fishy? Then why did you even? If I didn't follow your will, you would surely think of other plans, so why not want the love letter you wrote for me?" Feigning bashfulness, I denied writing him any love letter. "Who wrote you a love letter? I was just casually copying." "Well, our Daisy casually copied sentences that made people's heart flutter. What if you were serious? Would someone completely fall for you?" Ethan returned, even more charming than before. Previously, we would just argue, and he'd just become sarcastic. Now, he openly flirts so much that it's almost unbearable. Who taught him these skills? Or is it that top students are naturally talented? Unable to wrestle free? Unable to wrestle free? I changed the subject and asked Ethan why he was so certain that the handwriting in the love letter was mine. "It's simple. The handwriting for the word motivation, Daisy's exclusive calligraphy. I have carefully compared all the strokes of the motivation characters you've written in my book. Fine, top students are top students, and I accepted my defeat. Stretching out my other free hand, palm up, I asked Ethan to return the love letter to its owner. I thought Ethan would definitely refuse, but to my surprise, he nodded in agreement, under one condition though. "Speak up." I was in a good mood, finally being able to get rid of the evidence. Ethan stayed silent, a fulsome smile on his face and his eyes shining like stars. I was momentarily dazzled and didn't notice him holding my chin, only to discover his intentions when our lips touched, and he finally said, "Only if you do everything that you wrote in the love letter, I'll return it to you." My anger make a person dumbstruck. As I opened my mouth, Ethan took this opportunity to kiss me, leaving me lost for words. In a daze from the kiss, I wondered what exactly did I write in the love letter. I didn't seem to write any inappropriately explicit phrases, as I helplessly leaned on Ethan without struggling any further. I inhaled his scent, I admit. It was sweet, addictively so, like milk candy. If milk candy sweetened me from eyebrow to toe, then Ethan's tenderness soaked through my heart. My Prince Charming from my girlhood dreams was finally going to take his princess far away. Ethan said the first story he told me was about Snow White, followed by The Little Mermaid, all to instill in me the idea that he was the prince and I, the princess he was destined to marry when we grew up. I teased from his embrace. But the prince almost lost the princess once. Wasn't he afraid she had fallen for someone else during these years? Ethan was smart and immediately understood what I meant. He lovingly touched my nose. My princess is so naughty and stubborn, she wouldn't be easily tied down or let a good man go to others. Just when I wanted to retort, Ethan put a milk candy in my mouth. And the moment I was about to finish, he deepened a kiss to share the sweetness with me. Fine, having passed the rebellious stage. I won't argue with Ethan. If it pleases him, it would obviously please me. Afterward, Ethan kept his promise and returned the love letter to me. As I unfolded the paper and read what he wrote, I laughed through teary eyes. I've been trying my hardest to secure our future all on my own, so you would have a worry-free life. During the years we were apart, I made it. It turned out that when Ethan saw me breaking down after a mock exam, he decided to stop pushing me to study hard. What he wanted was the girl with the sweet smile. He couldn't bear to see my repressed weeping face. I exhaled a breath of relief. Good, I was also striving towards the light, not giving up after crying. This way, I could stand by Ethan with more confidence, standing shoulder to shoulder with him. Love can have a million possibilities. To me, Ethan was a journey, a destination. Lovers may not be together all the time, but it's essential we both keep each other in our hearts, steadfast in our belief that we would always be together, through time's current, embracing each other in the end.